New tonight, the Trump administration poised to suspend a Soviet-era arms race agreement. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying that Russia has been skirting this agreement for years. And back in December, he actually gave Russia a deadline. He said, you know what, you got 60 days to comply, guys. Well, now, time's running out. Russia has basically into the end of this week to get rid of their long-range ballistic missiles. Now, I hate to point out the obvious, but the president is going after Russia for its failure to live up to its promises in the arms race, while simultaneously launching a proxy war with Russia in Venezuela. So why exactly would he be a Russian agent, as the left so desperately wants to believe he is, if he's actually going head-to-head with the Russians on several different fronts? I mean, again, hate to point out the obvious, but let's try and add some logic to all of this, right? Joining me right now, former Deputy Assistant to the President and Fox News National Security Strategist, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Dr. Gorka, always good to see you, sir. And, you know, you can have your cake and eat it too, right? And that is exactly what the left wants right now.
Well, look, never let facts get in the way of a good Democrat narrative. It has nothing to do with reality, nothing to do with common sense. The fact that this president has greenlit the targeting of more than 200 Russian mercenaries in Syria, has armed the Ukrainians as opposed to President Obama, who sent blankets and socks to Kiev. Those are the facts of the matter. And now he's launching a broadside politically across the Kremlin, because this treaty from 1988, they're in violation of it. The first time they violated it was at least 11 years ago with their cruise missiles. Now the SS-25 is also in contravention. Not only that, this is a relic of the Cold War, which doesn't address anything that China is doing with its intermediate or long-range capabilities. So for the president, there are no sacred cows, Trish. Just because something's been around for 30, 40 years doesn't mean it's right. And this president's going to play hardball with Vladimir.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly what we're seeing. Vladimir Putin, by the way, had been trying to buy a strategic land piece there in Venezuela, a little island a few hundred miles from Caracas. And you know why he wanted that, Sebastian? He wanted that because that would then serve as a launch pad for any missiles he wanted to send our way. I mean, not since 1962 have we had to worry about the Russians, or such an enemy, the Soviets, I should say, so close to home. I have also been told, sir, by numerous sources that Barack Obama knew about all this. He knew that Nicolas Maduro was a problem. He knew that the people were suffering economically. He knew that strategically Venezuela mattered because it's so close to the United States, and the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, and by the way, Hezbollah are all active there. And yet he never did anything. I mean, it wasn't until today that Maduro got his financial lifelines cut off.
Well, he did. He sent Hillary with that mistranslated cheesy plastic button to meet with Lavrov, who humiliated her live on camera. And he made that statement to Medvedev, that hot mic statement about having more flexibility after the election. This is
forgive me, I was talking about Venezuela in that case, but I hear you on the other stuff.
But it's all connected. And what did he do with Cuba? He actually assisted that regime to stay in place. But all of these things are connected, Trish. Why? Because his motivation was driven by his belief that we are the problem, meaning America is the problem. If you were Iran, if you were Venezuela, if you were Cuba, if you were Russia, he'd bend over backwards to facilitate those regimes because he saw us, the shining city on the hill, as the problem. Remember what he said. He lifted into the highest policy document in the nation on the unclassified side, the national security strategy, the concept of leading from behind, which is an oxymoron, and then strategic patience. What does strategic patience means? You let others do what you want. Take the initiative.
All right.
Right. Bad guys.
Look, and it's changing now, and the world has to get used to it. Anyway, Sebastian, thank you so much. Good to have your insight. I want to remind the viewers they should check out your book. It's called Why We Fight: Defeating America's Enemies with No Apologies.